Hello, welcome back to It's Medicinal. Harvey, how have you been? It's been a couple of weeks.
Hello, I'm good. I'm good. It has been a couple of weeks for the podcast at least anyway. Yeah, not been too bad. Just been busy, work and all that kind of thing. Actually trying to
Keeping
organize podcast is a bit difficult. But yeah.
It is. Maybe I should just explain. We were due to have the Harvey Dad Sandwich podcast last week, and we fucked that up beautifully.
We we
Jules fucked that up. No, I beautifully. Um, I should explain. We downloaded many apps. I downloaded many apps in an attempt to save the conversation, and none of them worked. We feel that we fixed the technical issues now, and maybe we will have a Harvey Dad sandwich in the next few weeks. But it's going to be a few weeks. Why is that, Harvey?
because I'm going on holiday.
Oh, you're fucking leaving me.
I am, that's right. That is damn right. I will still be on Twitter to troll and abuse you.
Okay,
But I am going to Europe, so I'm going to be gone for like just over a week.
excellent. And exactly where are you going to?
So I don't know if the pronunciation is right, but I'm going to Zagreb, and I'm also going to Budapest, which I've been to before.
Beautiful, lovely city. Is it going to be warm there now? Is it kind of heating up?
It's it's a bit warmer than here, but not really by much. It's more like it is proper spring there, rather than being this shitty, windy weather that we've got. So yeah, it's supposed to be better, but not, it's not going to be like summer or anything like that.
No, a bit too soon for that, I
Yeah,
suppose.
no shorts, maybe joggers, but no shorts. It's too
No,
much.
no,
It's too much
no,
to ask.
no. Leave your short shorts at home for the
I'll
time.
take them anyway, but that'll be for parties. So
So this is what we're talking about today. It's going to be going away, and yeah, airports, holidays. Um,
travel in general, everything. Yeah.
yeah. So obviously you're going to be flying there.
Yes.
Um,
My arms would
anything?
get tired if I had to swim.
Yeah, it's kind of a long walk as well, isn't it? I suppose.
Long wet walk. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously you're going to be flying, and that means diabetes at the airport.
Yes.
Um, you don't pump, you eject. Well, maybe you pump in other ways, but you inject, and you don't have a CGM.
Nope.
So, do you do anything special, or do you just bag up your stuff and hope for the
Not
best?
really. I take a clear plastic box in because I only tend to take a backpack. Which when I've spoken to diabetics before that go traveling, they're surprised because they usually take a lot of diabetes stuff, and then their clothes and X, Y, and Z and a book for when you sat about doing nothing and that kind of thing. I take a small rucksack, and I can go 2 weeks in Europe with a small rucksack.
Wow.
Um, and that's including all my diabetes kit in there and everything as well. I put all my diabetes kit into it's like a clay lunchbox sort of size, do you know, like Tupperware?
Okay. Yeah.
It's like that, so that I don't have to do anything with it. I don't have to take any of my pens out of any of my cooling like purses or like whatever you want to call them, do you know, like the Frio cool packs.
Yeah.
I don't have to take any of them out of any of those or anything like that. I can literally leave it all in that box, and I've got a diabetic travel letter, and I leave that in the box as well. I take that out of my bag, slam it into one of those boxes, and just send it through the little scanner.
Yeah. Same here.
So yeah, so it's a lot easier than I think a lot of people panic about that, about going and having to go, well, this is my insulin pen, this is what I've got needles for and stuff like that. To
Yeah.
be fair, the people that like tend to look you through, especially with Europe, I don't really know so much like Americas and things like that. But like especially Europe, they tend to like look at the box and go, I don't really want to deal with that. I don't really give a shit.
Yeah.
It's not something that's got a bomb in it. Let's just keep going. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They just push past you. They're not really interested.
Yeah,
Um,
and I think they must see so many people with so many medical conditions, and it's not only uh, diabetes that use injection pens. I mean, people have EpiPens because they have allergies and what have you. So I guess they must see so much medication.
Yeah, and I imagine that they've been briefed on it as well. You know, they'll understand that. And I think to be fair, they'll probably be briefed that they are supposed to get your diabetic travel letter or like your medical travel letter, whatever it is that you're using.
Yeah.
They probably are supposed to have a look at those, but they really they don't seem to give a shit. Like I've been searched once because I had diabetic stuff in my bag, but that wasn't I wasn't really search. She went through my bag and she went, "Have you packed this bag yourself?" And like got really close to me and like looked me right in the eyes. And I was kind of worried. I was like, "Oh my God, she's gonna like stick a finger up my asshole in a minute." Do you know what I mean? I was really worried about it. Because it was one of the first times that I travelled after diagnosis as well. So I was really kind of panicky. But she was like, "Have you packed this bag yourself?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "How do you roll up all your clothes like that? That's really impressive." And I was like, "Have you searched my bag because you want to look at my packing skills?" And she was like, "Yeah, I didn't understand what it was that was in your bag because usually it's all just folded up. But like, because there's fancy ways to roll it up so you can fit more stuff in your bag.
Okay.
I do that because I'm anally retentive.
Of
So,
course.
I need as much space as I can get out of that bag. So, but yeah, that's the only time that I've had like one of those scary moments in an airport. Nobody else has ever been fussed.
So has nobody checked your letter? Because we all get told, don't oh, get your DSN or your GP to give you a letter explaining your condition and your medications. Has anybody ever checked yours, or has it just been no? Fuck it.
No, 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 yeah. Nobody's ever looked at it. When I first got diagnosed, I asked about, will I go on holiday? Like, so what do I need to do? They're like, oh, you just asked your GP for a letter. So I asked my GP for a letter. That was fine. Then I got married and changed my name, so I had to ask for a new letter. Because as from what I understand, a lot of people get dated letters, so you can travel from this date to this date with this letter.
Okay.
Mine's an open letter. It's just got a signature on it that says I can travel.
Hmm.
So, I think I'm fairly fortunate with that. I don't need to get one every time I go anywhere, because I go on holiday a lot. So,
Of course you do.
because
Yes.
I don't like to speak to people in the UK, so we might as well go and socialise with people elsewhere.
Yeah, in a language you don't understand.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, language barriers are great.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like I've never had an issue with that letter. Nobody's ever looked at it. But if I didn't take it, that would be the one time where someone said, "Where's your letter?"
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have it, and I wouldn't be able to take my insulin. It would probably get confiscated, and then I'd be panicking the entire time that I was there that I'm gonna die. So, you
Yeah.
know, it
You
is that kind of thing.
you would hope that they would understand it's got fucking insulin on the pen. And I mean, how hard can it be to check if somebody's a diabetic? You've got all the equipment. You've got all,
Yeah,
your blood testing stuff, and I don't know. I've never had my letter checked, and I've certainly used airports a lot in the last 25, 30 years. I've
yeah,
never once had that checked. But like, as you said, it will be sod's law the time that I go away. I'll leave the letter or won't bother getting a letter, and I'll get stopped. Where's your letter?
yeah.
Shit. And then the latex gloves get snapped on, and before you know it, you're having a cavity search.
Just a
And
kinky party in a
yeah,
glass-proof booth.
well, it's contact, isn't it? I suppose. But I've never had that checked, and I've never had an issue with taking medication with me. And the last time I went away, I had my Dexcom CGM attached to me, and people were telling me, don't walk in the metal detectors, don't walk in the scanners, it could fuck that up. It didn't. It was fine. I just walked in and walked out, and they kind of patted me down a little, and I just explained it's a medical device, it's a blood glucose monitor, and they just nodded and waved me on. So
Just ushered you away. Yeah,
yeah, I do understand people's concern about airports because you see things on the news and you see people making jokes about, just as I've done, cavity searches and things like that, and nobody actually wants that sort of thing usually. So I get
usually.
I get why people might be nervous, but actually,
Yeah, I think it's more. the coming back than it is going, because obviously there's less of a language barrier when you're flying out. There are some colleagues at airports and stuff that don't speak very good English in the English airports, which is fine, that's not an issue.
Hmm.
Um, but they all sort of understand what it is that's going on. Sometimes when you're coming back, you do get funny looks because you've got like a box of stuff and you've got like a little like a needle clipper that's got like a little hazard notification on it,
Oh yeah.
and it's at the top of the little clear box that you've got, and they're like, "Well, what's that?" And you're like, "It's nothing. Let me go."
It's fine. Yeah.
So
No, I understand. Yeah, I do get the concerns, but if this podcast does ever help anybody, I doubt it. But if it does ever help anybody, you don't need to be concerned. Flying out of the UK, at least, obviously, we can only speak of other nations when we're flying back. But again, I've never had sort of any major issues, just the occasional bag check, and that's been
yeah, and I think that's it, and it's just about them being cautious and having their due diligence in their job. So, like a lot of the time, I'll either just get swabbed, like my hands and my feet will get swabbed and stuff like that, like my shoes.
yeah,
But it's because I've got medical stuff with me. So they're just making sure that actually the medical stuff that I'm taking isn't something that it's not, and I haven't just got cartridges for something that's not the thing that it is that I'm saying it is, which I
yes,
totally understand.
yeah.
That's fair because you wouldn't want like a drugs runner coming in going, oh, it's just insulin, and then they've got like loads and loads of vials of some nasty poison shit. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That does make sense. Yeah. So, airports aside, and you're waiting at the gate, and you jump on board the plane. Any any flight issues with diabetes that you've had, or have you been plain sailing?
plain sailing. I've never had any issues, but I've not done any long haul flights or anything like that, so I've not had any reason to be cautious around foods and things like that. Some flights, obviously, even if they're short haul, will provide you with like a little snack anyway, um, which I really enjoy. I really like getting an unexpected falafel or something like that. It's a joke in our household that like whenever we fly, I'm like hoping for a falafel. And it's one of those most random things, but I think it helps because you can be waiting around in the airport for so long. And realistically, in terms of hypo treatments, all they've got is stuff like Coca-Cola and things like that. And as I've said to you before, I can't stand that kind of stuff. It's just horrible. I don't like the flavor, and so it's nice to have like a little, like a little piece of cake or a little sandwich or a little falafel or something like that, where I can just be like, but I can put this in my pocket and have it later if I need it.
Yeah, no, I've certainly done the same. I've had many snacks on board planes, and some of them have been, yeah, okay, that's been fine, and some of them have been god awful. Some sandwiches, oh my God,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. When they're damp, that's the problem.
Oh,
They're damp because they've been in that aeroplane for 4 days, just sat there with the cucumber just running into the. It's just a mush. It's
yeah,
just horrible.
it is. It's disgusting. I can't think of any major. I've had maybe one hypo. I think I've had on a flight to Vegas, but it wasn't a severe hypo. And I had so many things with me anyway, jelly babies and what have you. So it wasn't even an issue. I suppose it's just like being at home. If you've got things to look after you, if you've got your meds and you've got your sweets and your apple juices and whatever you've got, that's all you need. You're
Yeah,
not you're not
exactly.
locked you're not locked on the plane for life. It's the length of the flight, and then maybe an hour or two when you land and you escape the airport and you're good to go. So it's not like you need to take a bag full of things for maybe.
Yeah, it isn't like realistically, it's not like you're trapped on the plane for ages.
Hmm,
You're going to be, if it's a long haul flight, it's a little bit different, but if you're on that plane, you're going to be on the plane for a few hours maybe. So, it's not something where you couldn't just ask them for something like a Coke, push come to shove.
hmm.
You can ask them for something like that, and for the right price of about a fiver, you can have a
Yeah,
mini Coke. If it saves you dying, it's worth a fiver. But
Yeah,
You've always got that option there anyway. Because I don't really tend to take a lot of hypo treatments with me.
yeah.
Like not for the flight. Like when I get to the destination of where I'm going, I'll usually get like a little bag of weird foreign sweets because I like to try different things for stuff like that.
Okay, so
Um, you know,
would you say you kind of just estimate that they're good for you for hypos and 'cause obviously sweets are going to be full of sugar, but
yeah, and they still, on the back they still say like per like 100 grams it's got this amount of carbs in it and stuff like that. It's just differentiating where it actually says carbohydrates and stuff like that, especially when it's not in English.
yeah,
But I think if you can figure that out, then you're usually all right. And to be fair, I'd just throw the whole bag in my mouth and just keep going.
yeah.
Just slam it into my gaping maw. And because we walk about a lot anyway when we're on holiday, I don't do relaxation holidays, so
Okay.
we're always active. So it wouldn't really matter if I was a little bit high for a little while because it will just drop anyway because I'm just walking up like hills and mountains and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, usually it does. If you're doing that sort of cardio stuff all day, then definitely for me, I mean, if, any sort of cardio exercise, I just fall like a stone. So I guess if you're walking about a city, then that would explain definitely. And if you've got your sweets in your pocket or in your bag, then it shouldn't stop you doing anything, I guess. You're keeping an eye on your blood sugars. I
Yeah,
don't
exactly.
I don't take huge amounts. It does kind of depend on the destination, um, what I can expect to be there. And if I'm
Yeah,
unsure, if I'm going to Vegas or something like that, it's full of food and it's going to be fine. And I know it's going to be fine. I don't need to take much. If I'm going to some isolated town or city that I've never been to before, I might take more sort of gluco juice, glucotab, hypo type things just to cover my back in case I can't buy something on one given day, which is just nonsense. I know most towns and cities anywhere in the world, they're going to have a store, a shop, a supermarket, and you can just pick up whatever you need whilst you're there. So perhaps I'm slightly overcautious in that way.
I think a lot of people are like that though, aren't they? It's the diabetic overreactive syndrome that we have of going, yeah, but if I don't take it, I'm not going to be able to get anything, and I'm just going to drop down dead in the middle of the street.
Yeah,
It's not something that you actively think about. You don't think, oh, I need to take this because I will have a hypo and there won't be anything there. You just go, I'm just going to err on the side of caution and take like the entire fridge, and
yeah,
I'll be fine.
yeah,
Because I think we all do that to a certain extent. I'm a lot more cautious with that kind of thing when I do short distance travels.
okay,
So, if I were to come to something like a meetup and things like that, I would have like a rucksack with me with like hypo treatments and that kind of thing in there because I'd
mm,
be worried about where I'm traveling to and how long I'm going to be waiting in a certain spot and that kind of thing. Whereas
yeah,
if I'm on holiday, most of the time I'm like, well, I'm in a city, I can just nip to a shop, haggle with somebody about whatever it is that they're trying to say to me, and then just, take some sweets, throw some money, and run. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? It doesn't really matter. I'm never that worried in somewhere like that. But if I'm traveling, like around the UK, like in a train or something like that, I'm always worried because
mm.
if I'm on that train for like an hour and a half, or if it breaks down halfway, I'm there. That's it. I'm stuck.
You're locked in, aren't you? And I
Yeah,
suppose it's the same in a car journey. If you're stuck on the motorway, if there's a pile up or something and there's a huge delay, you're gonna think, okay, how long is this going to be? And you hear things on the news all the time, that it's snowing and people have been on the motorway all night long until the
yeah,
following day. It does make you think, shit, maybe I should take kind of enough for the next 2 weeks in case we get stuck on the motorway and
yeah.
doing this
I need to
train.
I need to fill up the boot with
Yeah,
sweets and drinks and hypo juices.
yeah, it's a good point. I didn't think of that actually, but maybe I am even more cautious just doing those short journeys in a car.
Yeah, those are the ones that I worry about. I don't worry about holiday, or anything like that. I don't know why. It's not rational because I could still get stuck. I could be on a grounded plane. I could be stuck there for 3 or 4 hours. then the flight, and then getting back and landing, and then being stuck there as well.
Yeah.
So, it's not a rational thing. It's just one of those things that I think, yeah, but there's always someone there that'll provide refreshments and it'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm on holiday, I don't need to worry about that, so I don't.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing as well. You can't forget about diabetes, of course, but it's good to just maybe take a step back and be on holiday, enjoy yourself and be a bit high, and you're going to get a hypo now and again. But if you can deal with that, then, I think it's good to just sometimes forget the numbers and allow yourself to have a holiday.
Exactly. On the back of that though, so when you go somewhere, obviously, like we were saying, like you have to guess like carbs and stuff like that, and even if you get a packet of something, there's no 100% guarantee that it's the right conversion and that kind of thing.
Hmm.
So how do you deal with stuff like your insulin and things like that? How do you do your guesstimation and stuff like that? How does that work for you?
It's exactly that. I tend to sort of guess based upon. I don't often carb count, I'll be honest. I do carb count at home. On holiday, I hardly ever carb count, if I'm honest. But I do seem to get away with guesstimating carbs quite well. Um, the only time I've been hyper and hypo on holiday, absolutely. But it's just a question of, again, I'm on holiday. I don't want to be doing maths and converting carbs, you know.
I love that. I don't want to do maths. That's like I'm on holiday. I'm not going to do any English
Yes,
today. I'm just not doing it.
you want to shut down a little, I suppose, and
I
enjoy.
do, yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
So kind of when you've had diabetes for so long, you do get sort of a sense for, okay, that plate of food looks like it has 35, 40 carbs in it. And if it has 50 carbs in it, then of course you've got insulin and that's what it's for. Take another unit or 2 units and fix any spike you may have had. And that's the way I've always worked it with diabetes and eating on holiday. I've just kind of guessed what's in there, and usually it's been okay. There hasn't been any hospital admissions so far, anyway. But
Yeah.
there's certainly been. I think there's two incidents that stand to mind with me. The worst one was based upon my stupidity, and there's a shock. And it was going to Sweden. I was going to Sweden to play a poker tournament, and um, I didn't take my basal injection, my Lantus injection. I thought, okay, we'll go to the airport. It's an hour to the airport. I'll fly to Sweden. It's a few hours to Sweden. It's going to take maybe an hour or two, and then I'll be in the hotel, and then I'll deal with diabetes. That was
Yeah.
my stupidity. Um, on the plane, feeling a little thirsty, didn't take a blood sugar test because I couldn't. I think it was more sort of I didn't want to see the number, and I was just hoping for the best. And I thought, God, I don't want to
Was
find
it, yeah.
a
Were
huge
you were
number.
you at that level? Sorry, I know I'm going to interrupt you again anyway.
Go,
Um, was it that level though of being, yeah, but I'm on a flight and there are people here and I don't really want to look at that number and I don't want someone else to look at my number either and think, oh, like
exactly
you
that.
get that kind of, it's that social anxiety thing that I was talking about before. You just go, no, because I look fine and I don't want people to look at me
Yeah,
like I'm broken.
yeah,
So I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to ignore it.
yeah. That was it. That I think that was a huge part of it, and also a part of my mind telling me, God, if you're going to take a blood sugar test, and maybe people are going to look at you. And then maybe you're going to need to stand up and go into the toilet and inject because, fuck injecting in public at that stage for me. So I just chose to ignore that. And I knew I was high, but I didn't know how high I was. No idea. So
Yeah.
landed at the airport. Okay, fairly quick at the airport, jumped in a taxi, and I thought it's going to be maybe 20, 30 minutes in a taxi to get to the hotel. And it took, I think, almost 2 hours. So a long time. I'm in the back of the cab. needing to pee quite badly at this stage. Thirsty as hell.
Covered in sweat, probably.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
undoubtedly. Yeah.
I know that. I know that hyper. That hyper. It's horrible.
It is. It's awful. But again, in the back of my mind, I'm still thinking, okay, you're definitely high, but you're not going to hypo. At least you're not going to collapse and have a hypo. Let's focus on the good things here.
Yeah.
But also, maybe you're just going to be, I don't know, 13 or 14 or something. You're not going to be that high. Something in the teens. You're going to be something like that. So check in at the hotel. All fine. Um, Up we go, up in the lift, key card in the door, sit down. Okay, finally, let's take a blood sugar test. Now nobody's here to look at me and see what we are. Hoping again, maybe 15, maybe 16 or something.
You're thinking, oh, if you creep to 20, that's still not that bad for how you feel.
Yeah, I'll be fine. I can deal with this. And it was 32 on the
Oof.
machine. So, fuck. Immediately, basal goes in and a huge lump of bolus went in. And I'm feeling like shit at this stage. And I'm exhausted, of course,
Yeah.
because I've done that journey, been quite physically active, but had no insulin on board and sky high, sticky sweet blood sugars. So
Yeah.
I don't collapse, but I just lay on the bed and fell asleep. And then about 2 hours goes by, maybe a bit longer, actually. At least a few hours went by. And I woke up. I thought, fuck, what time is it? And it's gone dark by this stage. So I'm looking for the light switch. You know what it's like in an unfamiliar hotel.
You have no idea where you
Yeah,
are. You've already bumped your shin 4 times.
yeah, yeah, that's it. Skinned your shins on the bed. You're looking for the light switch, and yeah, finally find it. Finally find my blood testing monitor. I think, fuck, I'm feeling a bit hypo now. I can't possibly be hypo. I was 32, and I've just had a nap. Maybe I'm just feeling like a bit lower now. Maybe I'll be 10 or something. So I did the test again. It was 2.7,
Ooh,
and I had one juice box, one apple juice box in my bag, and the only other things I had in there were sugar cubes with the tea and coffee by the television, which you sometimes get in some hotels. So
yeah.
down the apple juice, munching on sugar cubes, making phone calls to my wife, like, tell the kids I love them.
Oh my God.
Eventually, it took about, I think the lowest it went was 2.4. So it was falling, but not sharp. So I think,
Yeah, it was on a curve at least.
yeah. So we hit 2.4 and then it started to curve back up. But that hour or so of thinking, fuck, I'm going to die in this hotel in Sweden. I know I'm dying here. Fortunately, I managed to sort of save the day by munching sugar cubes, which is whether you've ever done that or not, I don't know, but it's not pleasant. you know, you're,
No, yeah, it's not something I've done. I don't really like sugary things. I'm not really a fan. I don't think I'd be able to eat a cube of sugar. Even if I was hypo, I think it would yeah, it's not something that I like the idea of.
yeah, it's unpleasant. At one stage, I considered opening my door and sitting in the doorway with the sugar bowl in case I collapsed, and therefore somebody would see me collapse and maybe get me help. But I didn't want to go downstairs and sit in the hotel lobby eating sugar.
You
like,
didn't want to go downstairs and ask someone for help
oh
because
no,
that makes you feel weak.
it does. Exactly. Can't get help. Oh God, no. I'll collapse and go to hospital before asking for help.
Medical professionals are okay to help, that is their job, but you can't possibly ask somebody else to help you because they will look at you like, oh my God, he's dying.
Yeah.
What do I do?
I also had visions of me um, going into the lift because I don't know, I was up maybe 5 or 6 floors, getting into the lift with a sugar bowl and collapsing and then the lift doors open at the hotel lobby, and I'm there on the floor of the lift, like foaming at the mouth with a bowl full of sugar all over me.
I can just see nobody helping you though, and you just riding up and down in a lift
Yeah,
for the rest of the week. Until
just
someone goes, "Hey, this bloke's been here a while." Do you know what I mean? We maybe need to see to him. There's
yeah.
like, he's don't look good.
He's stinking up the lift a little now, isn't he? That's just
Fucking stinks in here. We need to get this bloke out.
it. So have you never had an emergency hypo, a severe hypo on holiday, or?
No, I don't like. Obviously, like I've said about like my hypos and stuff, I don't think that I've really had very many emergency hypos anyway. Um, and I have had hypos when I've been on holiday because it gets extraordinarily warm when you're walking around a city. It doesn't matter if it's the middle of winter, realistically, if you've ever been anywhere that's like a city, it can
Mm,
still get really hot because it's so busy. Um, so it doesn't really matter. I still like have those hypos and stuff, but I'm constantly eating when I'm on holiday. And I do the guesstimation sort of side of it. Um, and I'm probably a little bit more insulin resistant than you, because I tend to go, oh, this has probably got like, maybe 50 grams worth of carbs. So, you would do about 5 units. I'm like, let's bang 20 in. And I'm fine. It doesn't drop my blood sugar. Like it doesn't make me go hypo from that insulin.
okay.
So it's one of those things I think when I'm on holiday, my body relaxes a little bit because I'm doing the exercise and stuff. It
Um,
kind of it puts me onto a bit more of an even keel. Like the insulin's absorbed in a better way because I'm more physically active, so my body's active.
yes.
Because obviously during the week, most of the time I'm just at work. And it's not that I've got a sedentary job or anything like that, but it's not like I'm walking around constantly.
Mm,
So it's one of those things I think my body makes up for some of that sort of stuff, so I don't really tend to have very many hypos. And if
okay.
I do, I'm just like, oh, can we just nip in here and get like an ice cream or something like that? If I'm gonna have a hypo, I'm gonna have a nice hypo treatment. I'm
Yeah.
not. I'm on holiday. I'm not just gonna have like a gluca juice because I feel like that's like a waste of my time on holiday. Whereas I can have a sit in the sun, put my sunglasses on, have an ice cream, and panic about dying then. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? If I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die with an ice cream in my hand. It'll be
Dying
fine.
style. Yeah. Eating
Exactly.
something lovely. Yeah.
He died doing what he loved, eating.
Eating something nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I
exactly.
completely understand that. I don't think, have you ever had a severe, I just spoke about quite a severe hyper, well, quite severe hyper. Do you feel that you've been to the stage where you think, fuck, you know what, I'm quite high here. I need to sort this out. Or do you feel because of the style of holidays you have, the exercise, the walking you do, have you never been in that position, the opposite end of the scale, the top end?
Yeah, I don't think I have. I think the first few times we went on holiday, um, after I was diagnosed, I was more overly cautious. So I think because it's all a bit of a blur, if I'm honest with you. Because it was, it's not like it was that long ago, but the travel side of it, I don't really tend to remember. Um, so I think like the first flight that we were on, I was a sticky, sweaty mess because I was worried that obviously I was gonna have a hypo at some point. So I've really underdid my insulin for my meal before I went, and didn't do any insulin when I was having like a snack on the plane and stuff like that. So by the time I got to the hotel, I'm pretty sure that I was quite high and I had to do like a fairly severe correction, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't. I wouldn't say it was like a really severe hyper, um, because I don't think that I've ever really actually struggled with a really severe hyper. I've maybe got up to about 25 before,
Mm,
and been really sweaty and not felt very well and stuff, but thought, I realistically I could deal with this because before I was diagnosed, obviously for a good year, my body was shutting down.
yeah.
So I've dealt with a lot worse, and I am one of those people you can just fake it till you make it. So I just kind of ignore it,
Yeah.
and and it's really easy for me to just kind of go. this is fine. This is fine. It's one of my go-to phrases. This is fine. You know, the whole world's falling apart around me.
It's on
And
fire.
I'm going, this is fine. I'm just warm. So, you know, it's one of those things for me. Um I don't think I really have struggled with any hypers, so I don't think in terms of me myself I've ever had any severe ones.
Okay.
Um, but in terms of like numbers, definitely while I've been on holiday, I've checked my blood and I'm like about 20.
Yeah.
Because I've gone, oh well, we'll just nip in here and get an ice cream. I'm not going to test my blood because we're walking about, and I don't want to find a bench and sit down and test my blood and do this, that, and the other, and you know, and then I've got to get rid of all of the rubbish at the end and all of that
Yes.
sort of stuff. So
Yeah.
I just nip in and get something because I feel like that.
Hmm.
And then it turns out, you know, I've massively overdone for what was probably like a blood sugar of 8. It's just
Yeah.
that it was higher earlier on in the day.
Yeah.
So, you know, I really, obviously because I don't take my diabetes that seriously anyway, as you can tell, like from the way that I talk about it. Um, I I think when I'm on holiday, I get worse with that as well. Um,
Hmm.
I'm just lucky enough that because I'm not as active when I'm at home, when I do go on holiday, I'm more active, so my body will kind of put up with a little bit more.
Yeah.
It'll go, you know, we're walking about, it's fine. It can just be sweaty. It can stink a bit. It's not a problem.
Yeah.
You know,
Does,
he'll be at the hotel soon. Just make him sweat.
does
You
your
know,
does your husband get involved with that sort of thing? I don't know if he does it at home, but more so when you go away. If there's a medical emergency, I suppose it's going to be more of a pain in the arse than it is in the UK because you're somewhere that's unfamiliar.
yeah.
Does he get involved with you in terms of you know, inject, test, or does he just leave you to it?
He leaves me to it for the most part. He will sometimes ask me, what, you know, have you, like, when was the last time you tested, and what was your blood sugar and stuff like that. He does that more so when we're at home, because when we're on holiday, he knows that I won't test when we're out and about, but it's because we're doing things. It's not because I'm not worried about doing my tests and injections and stuff like that in a foreign land or anything like that. I'm not bothered.
Mm,
You know, I've got enough. Um, Confidence within myself to at least test my blood in public because I do it when we sit down and eat and things like that. But I just won't throughout the day because we'll pick up a snack instead of having lunch. So,
yeah.
but he will always like say, "Oh, you know, what was your blood this morning?" and stuff like that because he always is he's cautious that I will go, "Oh, it was really high," and he'll go, "Well, have you done anything for it?" And I'll go, "No." So
Okay.
he's always cautious that I'm actually actively taking care of myself at points as well.
Yeah.
He does get very angry with me because I'm not a very good diabetic and I don't follow the rules and I don't test before every meal and you know I don't test before I go to bed and things like that. I'm very much I'm more on the side of my mental health is more important than my physical health.
Okay.
Um, and he's very much more on the side of, yeah, but you need to test your blood because if you die, I don't want to wake up to a dead body next to me in bed.
It's a
So,
bit
you
inconvenient,
know,
isn't it? I suppose. Yeah.
so yeah, he's like that. You know, he's like that at home. He's a little bit more relaxed about it when we're on holiday. I always tend to test before I go to bed and when I wake up when I'm on holiday anyway,
Yeah.
because I've eaten so much that I don't know what it is and I don't know how many carbs are in it and stuff like that. So
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, my wife obviously she occasionally would ask, why are you awake at this time? Are you hyper? Are you hypo? She won't interfere too much. And the same on holiday. She will interfere when I ask for help. So, can you get me this? I'm low. And then she will take an active
yeah.
one in it. But until then, I think she knows by now with me, I've had this for long enough and I'm not dead yet. So she just lets me get on with things. And
Yeah.
maybe, I mean, you're a few years in now, so maybe your husband will be, over time, he'll still take that sort of, are you okay stance with you, but perhaps not be mad with you if you haven't tested
Yeah,
or.
Yeah, he is a lot more relaxed now. I will say though, because I have remembered about one time when I did sort of having a medical emergency while I was going away. Um, and he played a much more active role in that. Because we went to London because we were going to go on the Eurostar to Paris.
Okay.
So we spent a couple of days in London, and then we were going to spend a couple of days in Paris, then come back to London, then come back home. Um, and the night before we left, we went to a friend's, just for like like an evening watching films and eating shit food and that kind of thing. Um, and we had a Chinese, and I opted for a dish that I'd never had before. And I'm pretty sure I got food poisoning from it.
Oh,
But the food poisoning itself didn't manifest until like the night that we were in London.
oh,
And I couldn't get off the toilet. Like I, I was really, really ill. I couldn't eat anything. I couldn't drink anything. And he was really worried because he kept saying, "But we're not going to be able to go to Paris." And I was like,
yeah, but I'm
I
dying here.
I was like, we'll be able to go to Paris. It'll be fine because I was adamant that we were going to Paris. I was like, we'll go to Paris. It's fine. It's fine. It will be fine.
It's going to be fine.
I was like, I'll get over it. I was like, you buy me some cans, I'll be all right. So, but he bought me a pack of biscuits. He bought loads of juices and he bought waters and stuff like that for me. And he just made sure I was all right, like the entire time. But I
Okay.
was like, I'm refusing. It got to the point where I was like, I might actually have to go to hospital. I can't move. I keep throwing up and I can't get off the toilet and it's just horrible. I can't do anything. And
Yeah.
it was last year in that brief week that we had like that heat wave.
Oh, okay. So that's it.
So it was burningly hot anyway. It was absolutely horrific. And we were in this tiny hotel room in the middle of London in one of those, 10-story houses.
Oh, yeah.
It was absolutely horrific. And he was like, "We're not going to be able to go." And I was like, "We've got another day in London. We'll be fine. We'll be fine." Um, and by like midday that day, I was like, "I'm all right. I'm fine." My blood
Mhm.
sugars were absolutely spot on the entire time. I have
Okay.
no idea how I managed to have okay blood sugars while I wasn't eating anything, and anything that was going into my body was going straight back out of it.
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense to me, and obviously I was putting all this pressure on my body because I was being sick and stuff like that. So I was obviously putting a lot of physical pressure on my body. Um, Testing my blood every couple of hours, and it was like 6, 7, 8,
Okay.
4. It was never really that bad. So
Yeah.
I was really, really, really impressed with my body at that point. But yeah, like he took a much more active role in that for me. Which I really appreciate because obviously if it had just been me by myself, if I hadn't had anybody there,
Mm.
I could have just been there by myself panicking.
Yeah.
I'd have probably rung an ambulance and I'd been in hospital.
Yeah.
I'd have probably gone to hospital. The stress of that would have probably made my blood sugar drop even more, and then I'd have been admitted. So,
Yeah.
and that wouldn't have been nice. I wouldn't have wanted to be in a hospital in the middle of London. It's on
No.
the other side of the country from where I live.
Yeah. And who knows for
So
how long? And yeah, potentially missing your next leg of your journey. So yeah, I suppose it shows the support of somebody loved or somebody that you're with can be quite important. If you're going away, then when I've been hyper or hypo or unwell like you, it's always been easier if I've been with somebody else to have them just be there. They don't have to do much, but somebody there, it kind of sets your mind at ease. Okay, if I'm gonna die, or I feel like I'm gonna die, at least somebody's here to witness it, and they
yeah,
can help.
it is literally just that emotional support of someone being there to go, well, if I do pass out, ring an ambulance for me because I can't do it myself. And they're like, no, I've got this. I'm just gonna let you do you. And if shit goes down the pan, I'll help out. But because as diabetics, we're usually pretty self-sufficient and we don't like people helping us.
Yeah, yeah,
I think it's the biggest problem that we have is that we won't accept help from people.
yeah,
Someone's like, well, what can I do for you? Absolutely nothing. Leave me the fuck alone. I'm having a hypo. I need to sort myself out. It's one of those things. It's because it's your illness. It's you, and therefore you've got to sort it out, and that can sometimes be overwhelming when you are actually by yourself.
It can be. I think it can be overwhelming. I think the emotion of the situation when you're hypo, I think more so hypo with me at least than hyper. It is more sort of, yeah, just leave me alone. And if I need you, I'm going to tell you that I need you, but don't interfere.
Yeah,
Don't jump in. I'm good. It's fine. But when I'm on the verge of death, then yeah, go and get me an apple juice or something, and that's cool.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I think we've had quite an extensive chat. That kind of went slightly off topic.
It was all still sort of about travel. I mean, I don't, I love to travel, and it encompasses a lot of different things. It's not just about going somewhere.
It
It's
does.
the multifaceted formation of what travel is.
Exactly, exactly. And I'm hoping you're going to tweet some images of your little jaunt over the next week or
Maybe,
two, maybe.
perhaps I will. Yeah, perhaps I
Yeah,
will.
I think you
We'll
will.
have to see if there's anything good there. I might take some pictures.
Use the Harvey filter, the black and white one. You
Well,
know what
I don't do any other. Yeah.
yeah. Tweet some stuff, Harvey. You know we love it. I think that's going to be it for today because this is going to be another long one and people are going to fall asleep if we just keep going on and on and on. So, when you come back, it's going to be a couple of weeks, I guess.
Yes, I will be. I'll be back in the country on the 1st of April.
Okay. So,
So like a week and a half ish.
yes, I suppose it will.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
give or
like
take.
about 2 weeks ish,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
So I suppose we'll be doing another podcast then, soon after that, perhaps. Maybe we can finally do the Harvey Dad sandwich podcast with somebody.
I'm hoping so because there was great promise in the in the unheard footage of the conversations that we were having.
There was, yeah. There was many subjects touched upon in that little
Yeah, maybe not the topics that I was bringing up. Maybe some of the topics that you guys brought up, but maybe not the things I was talking about.
that. Don't blame me. It's all Jules. You know what she's like. But maybe we'll get Jules involved in that one if she's available, and we'll finally do the sandwich podcast because we've got a lot of people kind of lined up that want to do that. So, I guess I should fix it and make it work
I know
before we
you need
come
to
back.
step yourself up because people are messaging about when we are doing these chats with other people.
Yes, have I missed it? When was it? Oh shit, we haven't done it yet. It's been
Awful
a
lot of
week.
people.
Yeah, we'll make it work. We'll make it happen when you come back.
We
So
sure will.
have a nice time. Have a nice holiday. I
I
guess.
will, thank you, thank you.
Enjoy yourself. No hypos. Have a hyper now and again, but I'm sure you'll fix it.
Probably, probably. I
Yeah.
just wander. I'll do what I want. It'll be fine.
I'm sure it'll be fine. Of course it will. I'll speak to you soon, Harvey. So have a nice time, and if you managed to get to the end of this podcast, thank you for listening. Please hit the like button. You can leave comments if you wish, or talk to us on Twitter. I'm at Diabetic Dad UK. Who are you, Harvey?
I'm at diabetic_me, and if you are wondering, my name this time around is Raspberry Meringue.
Okay. That's fine. Yeah, we can work with that. Tweet us.
It's my new drag name, that's what it is.
Oh, nice. Yeah, of course it is. What was my? You didn't like my name. What did I choose? Peaches. Peaches bun.
Peach's Bun Hun is that is the most basic white old man drag name that you could think of, and you chose that as your first option.
It is wonderful. What's so bad about? I can't help being white and an old man. It's just who I am.
I feel like you can tone it down a little though. You know,
De-age a bit. Yeah, perhaps. Perhaps. Okay, let's call it a day there. That's been a while, and we'll get this one up soon. So, thank you for listening. Hit the like button, leave comments, sub to the channel, and you'll get a notification. If you hear that little bell thing, you'll get a notification when we upload another podcast in future. Thanks for listening. You can say bye if you want, Harvey.
Bye.